India-Canada relations have hit an all-time low, and this is not a recent development. The ties between the two countries have worsened because Justin Trudeau, the Canadian PM, accused the Indian government last year for their alleged involvement in the killing of a Khalistani separatist, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. So, all of this started last year after the accusations of Canadian PM against Indian government came out, and that was actually the beginning of the fallout between the two countries. Now, not only did the Indian government deny those accusations, but also asked the Canadian government to actually provide for hard evidence. And at the same time, the Indian government had asked Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his government to curb Khalistani movement, Khalistani activities in Canada, and even asked for the extradition of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was a Sikh separatist, a Khalistani separatist and activist with links to Pakistan's ISI for conducting anti-India activities. And these activities, they include extortion, money laundering, terrorism, to name a few. However, Canadian government not only ignored Indian government's request for the longest time, but actively defended these Khalistani protesters in Canada, all in the name of free speech. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Fast forward to October 2024. The final nail in the coffin was hit when the Canadian government as well as the Canadian police actually accused the Indian government of their involvement and the involvement of Indian diplomats for carrying out violent crimes on Canadian soil, pointing out their involvement in the killing of not just Nijjar but other Khalistani separatists in Canada. Now, Indian government in a statement said that the Canadian government mentioned India's High Commissioner to Canada as well as other diplomats. They were actually persons of interest in carrying out the investigation in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. The Canadian government actually told the Indian government that they wanted to question these persons of interest in the investigation, in the ongoing investigation, to which the Indian government refused. Not only that, but the Indian Ministry of External Affairs even released a statement stating that the Canadian government and PM Trudeau were actually pointing fingers at India because they wanted to appeal to the Sikh separatists present in Canada. They were all doing all of this to get the votes of Khalistani separatists of Canada. When we actually look at the conditions in Canada, specifically the economic conditions in Canada, Justin Trudeau has been responsible for putting the economy of Canada to shambles, to the point that there's no return for Justin Trudeau. And the slightest chance of him actually winning the upcoming elections lies in what he is doing right now. He's appealing to Sikh separatists in order to save day for himself, his party, and for the slightest chance of victory in the upcoming elections. Time and again, Justin Trudeau has been accused of protecting pro-Khalistani activists. And this is also evident from the fact that his coalition partner, the leader of the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, is pro-Khalistan himself. Now, what's even crazy is the fact that Justin Trudeau has not only accused the Indian government of their alleged involvement in this killing, but he has said that Indian government has been working with gangs like that of Lawrence Bishnoi at an international level. Now, can you imagine the leader of another country, a prominent country, accusing the leader of another country, the Indian government, for actually working with a gang? And on top of that, when the Indian government asked for hard evidence, Justin Trudeau said that they had primary evidence. They did not have any hard proof. The world only works on hard evidence. Now, if you do not have any hard evidence, any hard proof of something that has actually taken place, something that you think, you believe, and you accuse another country of doing, but you do not have any evidence, you cannot save face on an international level if things turn out against you. So, if you're accusing another country, and that too at an international level, you better be coming up with some hard evidence. And the Indian government has been asking for an evidence. This is not the first time, but they did the same last year as well. The Indian government asked for evidence last year as well, and the Indian government has still not been provided with an evidence. And not only that, but then Canada is asking the members of Five Eyes to actually push India, to pressurize India. And some of these countries, they're actually pressurizing India too, to cooperate in the ongoing investigation. These countries that have been pressurizing India to actually cooperate with Canada, they should also tell Canada to provide evidence to India. Coming to Jagmeet Singh, when we talk about Jagmeet Singh, in his press conference speech, he said that RSS was a threat and that RSS should be banned. And it did not stop there. He also said that stricter actions should be taken against Indian diplomats, with the possibility of sanctions. Now, if you're talking about sanctions, if there's even a slightest of possibility of Canada putting sanctions on Indian diplomats or even the Indian government, that is not going to go well for the country, because that is only going to push India to put sanctions on Canada as well, and that is going to affect trade and commerce and even education between the two countries. Now, when we look at education, the education part of it, that is going to put strain on the future of the students that are already in Canada studying, and those hundreds of thousands of those students who aspire to go to Canada to pursue higher studies. If the trajectory that we're on, if we keep on continue to go on that path, that is not going to end well for either of the two countries, and especially for the hundreds of thousands of students that wish to study in Canada and improve their future. Now, after this heated exchange between the two countries, both the countries expelled each other's high commissioners and other diplomats. Not only that, but the Indian government actually summoned the High Commissioner of Canada, Stuart Ross Wheeler, in order to ask him what the next moves of the Canadian government were. After the High Commissioner of Canada came out, he addressed the Indian media and said that Canada has provided India with the required evidence, and now it was on India to conduct the investigation. However, no such evidence has been provided to the Indian government at the time of recording this video. Even according to National Post, which is a Canadian media outlet, Justin Trudeau has allowed diaspora politics to unduly influence foreign policy. Now, there's plenty of evidence of how Canada has protected Khalistani separatists and their activities on the Canadian soil, all in the name of freedom of speech, as I mentioned earlier, and has given enough space to them, despite the Indian government asking Justin Trudeau and his government to crack down on Khalistani separatists in Canada. And in response, instead of actually listening to the Indian government, Justin Trudeau has accused the Indian government. And on what grounds? There's no evidence so far. And Indian government has said that Justin Trudeau is the only one who is responsible for spoiling the relationship between the two countries. When we look at the things, the way that they've unfolded, could there have been a better way to address the situation? Yes, through diplomatic dialogues, things could have been tackled in a much healthier way. However, it does not seem like the relationship between the two countries are improving anytime soon. Not at least Justin Trudeau remains in power. So for that, we'll have to wait until the elections next year in Canada. But as of now, things are not looking good for the two countries. And there's a lot at stake at this point of time, including trade, commerce, and even higher education. With that being said, what do you think about India and Canada's ties? Do you think that there is a hope for the two countries to solve their issues at this point of time? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you found this video valuable, please share this video with your friends and family, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching this video and have a great day.